This is our 4th week together for our Road to Reconciliation program. And this week we're continuing along those themes of the 7 grandfather teachings. And this week we're going to be looking at respect. Respect for everyone, respect for nature, respect for ourselves. And we're going to be learning a little bit more about that particular teaching. I'd like to start off with a very brief territory acknowledgement. And then I'll be turning it over to Kathleen McLaughlin, who will be co-facilitating and taking the lead for the rest of the program this morning. So we would like to start today by acknowledging that the land on which we gather at is the traditional territory of the Indigenous people of Canada. We recognize and deeply appreciate their historic connection to this place where we now live and work. As guests on this land, we thank all the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. We also recognize that contributions of the Métis, Inuit, Mi'kmaq, and other Indigenous people to the richness of our community, province, and country as a whole. We aspire to continue strengthening ties with the communities we serve and work in, as well as to build a future together through learning and reconciliation. And I think that sets the tone for why we're here again this week, to continue being an active voice in the reconciliation process. So Kathleen, I'm going to turn it over to you at this point. You may need to unmute that microphone though. Beautiful to see your face, but we want to hear your voice too. There we go.
So today, the 7 grandfather teaching that we're looking at is respect. And as we've seen the previous weeks, we have a video to show you guys, with the elder Hazel, I believe her name is.
That's correct.
That. And just to let you guys know, respect is based on the buffalo as well, as you're going to see.
Excellent.
I'm not sure if everyone could hear.
Hear the audio?
Pardon me?
Can you hear?
Yeah, I could hear. I hope everyone could hear. I think we had someone say they can't hear the video.
I had to click on it so it would play. It wouldn't play.
We may have to all individually click on it and watch it separately.
I got this. I got this, okay. Guys. Just give me 2 seconds to pull a little bit of computer magic for you, and we are going to see this.
The buffalo represents respect, and respect was given to us from the buffalo first to give us everything that we need. When we killed a buffalo, it would provide our family with food, with shelter, with clothing, and it also showed that we had to give that respect back. And for thousands of years, as we gave that respect, and the respect was given back to us, when we lost that respect for the buffalo, all of a sudden they were killed off. Now there's only the herded buffaloes that are on the farms, but there's no more wild buffalo. So it shows that when we lose respect, we lose things. Respect for ourselves is most important. Creator wants us to respect ourselves. That's part of that teaching of the buffalo, is as he gave everything of himself and his life for us, it showed us that we had to respect life, to respect others, to not be afraid to give all of ourselves to other people. And that's the way how we're going to heal the world, is only if we can give ourselves for others. So we need to help one another to share. So if we have medicines or food, we take what we need. We give tobacco as a thank you. And when we take, we only take what we need. And if we find we've taken more, then we are to give it to others. If we have more medicines than we should have, so that we can't use it, we will give it to others so it can be used. So respect in the buffalo is so very important. When we're given the buffalo robe, or now we don't give the buffalo itself, but we do give blankets or shawls. And that's to show that person how much that we respect them, especially from the community, and how they gave themselves to others. With the buffalo, it's just so important that that love and respect is always given. I'd like to talk about the very first teachings that was ever given to me. I've been walking this way now for 25 years. My deceased elder, Stella Blackbird, she taught me of the 4 colors of man, and how we're all to come together into the center. And I was to respect all 4 colors. I was to respect the way they walk, the way they talk, the way they pray, but especially to respect their elders. And with that, I'd like to say miigwech for listening, and may your journeys always be safe. Ho miigwech, all my relations.
There we are. And so I'll just refresh the screen share back to where we were. And just to recap on that video, I really enjoy hearing about the buffalo. It reminds us that, you know, we have to give gifts oftentimes before we receive them. So the buffalo gave respect first. The buffalo is the one who gave respect to us by allowing it to use all of these different parts of it, its skin, its hides, its meats, its bones, for our own sustenance. There was no waste. There was respect given in return to it by using everything and valuing everything. And we also recognize that with the loss of respect, when the buffalo was being overhunted and not being shown that level of respect and mindfulness, there was an impact, a very negative one, to our world, where we no longer see wild buffalo. We see them only herded now. They're endangered. And so I think this also speaks not only to the need to, you know, look around and hope to receive respect, but also that need for us to be actively giving it, and knowing that when we give it to others, we will receive it in return. It was very powerful for me to hear a couple of things that the elders shared with us. One thing in particular was the fact that when we have too much medicine, when we have too much of anything, we share it with others to show that respect, that idea of the buffalo, that, you know, what we have, if it's more than we need, we share it with others. We do not waste, we do not hoard, we don't take advantage. And again, that is in our best interest, but also in the best interest of others around us and everybody on Mother Earth. I also thought it was very impactful to hear her speak of the 4 colors of people. You may remember that the medicine wheel and its 4 colors can be applied to all sorts of different frameworks. We can use the medicine wheel to help us understand the seasons and how they balance. We can use the medicine wheel to help us understand the different medicines and how they balance. We can use it for all sorts of different purposes, even to help identify that there are different peoples around us that, again, need to live in harmony, that have an interconnected nature. And again, a big part of respect was showing respect to all peoples, regardless of color or regardless of where they were in this beautiful medicine wheel idea, right? So those were very impactful for me. I'm not sure if anybody else out there took anything away or if you did, Kathleen, but I just wanted to throw those points out there before we got too far into the rest of the PowerPoint.
That was the same as you. It's the one that got me the most is sharing your medicine.
Mm.
Like that, like we should take a lot from them and just bring it back.
I agree. There's just so much in these core values, and again, they're really great. You know, you could almost call them mantras, right? You know, to be living our lives by.
So as we may know, the concept of respect can vary from culture to culture. For the Indigenous people, elders are amongst the highly respected. As we just saw in the video, Hazel was talking about her elders taught her respect and taught her about the buffalo. So to break the ice for this week, I invite everyone to share either a picture or a comment in the chat about someone, a grandparent or an elder that either taught them respect or someone they look up to. And we're maybe a bit of a larger group, so if you guys want to share a picture in the chat, you're more than welcome to. If you want to put up your hand and show a picture on camera, you're also more than welcome to. Otherwise, just talk about someone in the chat. For myself, it would be my grandmother Vita that taught me the most respect growing up. She always taught me and the family to not be judgmental, to listen to other people. And I was always very, very, very close to her. So I looked up to her my entire life.
Oh, well, I'll share a little bit too, if you'd like, while people are chatting in, you know, the messages, a little bit about their grandparents and who taught them what. This is a picture of my grandmother. I'm just going to spotlight myself for a minute. The show's all about me now for a moment. But this is a picture of my grandmother, and she's holding my mother and my uncle. And she, I would say, is somebody who taught me a lot of respect, and right throughout her life. Not just because of how she carried herself in her early years, but also because of how she carried herself in her later years. This is my grandmother more around the time that I would know her. Again, you can see me up there, old picture. My grandmother taught me respect because of how she carried herself in relation to other people. She always met them with a smile. She always used soft tones. She was always compassionate to people. She was the kind of person who gave to people consistently. She always made regular donations. She was always, you know, again, very giving. When she had extra, she gave to other people who had less. And, you know, kind of a follower of that golden rule to treat others as though as if you would want to be treated. You know, we want to be met with a smile and a bit of kindness. We don't want to be met with judgment or a cold shoulder. And I think those are some of the biggest things. She was also a very active listener. She didn't have to say much to let you know that she was listening, she cared, she was paying attention. And that made a huge impression on me too, right? Like just the way we carry ourselves with others, just our presence can be comforting.
I just noticed that Jessica, thank you, Jessica, for sharing a picture. That's this really, really sweet picture. If everyone looks over the chat, she shared a picture of her grandparents. We also have one from Amanda that just came in. She says my grandfather on her dad's side is her role model. Even after he's now passed on, he's showed me that respect is something free and it costs nothing to respect. That is excellent. Really appreciate you guys sharing your pictures. I love pictures.
Coming into the holidays, I think that's a really great thing too. You know, we're always so concerned about spending money on people for gifts, and one of those free gifts that we can give away, it doesn't cost us anything. It's just a little bit of respect and compassion.
Exactly. Austin also shared his grandmother taught him respect by seeing the best in people and always keeping an open mind, which is another excellent one.
I like that too. I like that too. And I love those pictures. Now, I know it sometimes takes a minute to find a picture. So, you know, if we start moving into the PowerPoint again and people still have pictures that they'd like to share, feel free to keep putting them into the chat. Like it's wonderful to see and very inspiring for us too, right? So As we move on to this next slide, I just kind of want to wrap up that icebreaker with a little bit of a reminder that our grandparents and our family can be a place where we learn some of our earliest values and beliefs and morals. And again, it can be a place that teaches us things like respect. It's not always something that we've actively been taught. You may not remember having a good long conversation with your mom about respect, or maybe you do. Maybe you needed that. But at the same time, a big part of it was taught to you with how we carried ourselves, how the adults around you spoke to you and spoke to one another. Things were modeled for us and they were learned. And I like looking back at my grandparents with fond memories and thinking of the best parts of them. I think that was a great activity to get us going. So can you tell us a little bit about the buffalo, Kathleen, and we'll jump right back into it?
I sure can. So the buffalo, as we know, represents respect. The buffalo represents respect as he gives every part of his being to sustain the human's way of life. As we've seen before, he provides hides for warmth and shelter, meat, muscle for sinew, and bones for tools. He respects all living things in order to achieve balance. And just a question, just showing respect is showing honor for the value of persons or things by polite regard, consideration, and appreciation. Honor our teachings, honor our families, others, and ourselves. Don't hurt anything or anyone on the outside or the inside. Is a quote I found that I found quite powerful, and I thought it really, that quote really represented respect. Now a question to everyone out there: how do you show respect in your everyday life? Personally, I show respect. I try my best to have an open ear, to listen to people, to not judge. That's my way of trying to showing respect. And keeping my word, I think that's my biggest one. I lied. My biggest one is keeping my word. So you're more than welcome to share your ideas in the chat.
Oh, and while people are starting to throw those ideas out there, I'll just I'll verbalize my own example just to kind of fill the air while people are starting to write in their responses. I try to show respect by doing a lot of the same things my grandmother did, if I'm being honest. I try to smile when I see people, even when I'm wearing a mask. I know most people can't even see my face these days, but I still smile because I believe they can see it in my eyes. Funny enough, I even smile when I'm on the phone because I've come to learn that it changes the tone of my voice, right? It makes me sound more positive when I actually am acting more positive. So I'm very mindful about the way I'm presenting myself, my tone of voice, my facial expressions, having a smile on my face. And I personally believe that it's some of those tiniest and smallest things that can actually make the biggest difference in the people that I'm speaking with. Another big thing that I try to do to show respect is I try really hard not to be wasteful. You know, if I have something extra, I also try to practice that idea of giving to others, very much like what we heard from Hazel in the video. This Christmas, you know, I have a little extra. And so something that I do every Christmas is I make donations to the Crossroads Women's Shelter. We usually do something through the school. And a lot of times I end up, you know, doing other things, making a donation to the local hospital or doing some of those Christmas angels that you can pick up one of. But I'm really, really big. I'm really, really big on that for me. Now, I do see a couple of replies have come in if you want to talk about those, Kathleen.
My grandparents taught, from Catherine, her grandparents taught respect and the importance of taking care of each other and giving back to the community, which is a big one. But from Pascal, we have my grandmother is such a strong woman for everything she went through in life, but she is always smiling and enjoying the moment because she learned to care about the now and who is present at the moment. Amanda gives a lot to the homeless when she has some extra, which is very generous.
That's great. We have we're doing something like that right now with the morning class. We just put together little welcome baskets for women who are going to the domestic violence shelter. And again, it has little essentials and little comfort items and things like that in them. So everybody in the class who had a little extra was able to bring in their little extra, and we were able to do something kind for others.
Jared here says he likes to hold the door open for everyone. He always asks people how they're doing and how their day is going, and he enjoys to listen to others and share different perspectives on the day. Good. I feel like you're someone I'd like to run into. You know, just I feel like you're the kind of person, if we're having a bad day, you'd probably put a little like smile on someone's day. So thank you for sharing, everybody. That's excellent.
Excellent. So,
oh, sorry. I'm so keen.
Go ahead. You go right ahead, my dear.
You see, the buffalo portrays respect. So in the Indigenous culture, respect is centered around living a good, balanced life while respecting and protecting the environment and while living in harmony with the people and creatures that live on Earth. To honor all creations is respect. Do not waste and be mindful of the balance of all living things. Share and treat others the way you would like to be treated. So a fun fact that I found is in the Mi'kmaq culture, respect is an element of spirituality, and they believe that all living things on Earth have a spirit which makes them have a deep respect for life.
I think that's a really beautiful perspective too. You know, when we start recognizing that the earth and our environment is all a living, animated part of our world, and that we have to have active respect to maintain its well-being as much as we need active respect to maintain a person's well-being, I think that really changes the way that we just think about little things.
After learning about respect and how the Indigenous people see respect, does anyone think that the meaning of respect is the same in your culture? For me, I'd like to think I try to respect everything on Earth, like Mother Nature or whatnot. So I don't know if anyone if anyone, since learning about respect from a different perspective, if they change their own viewpoint on what respect is.
I'm going to encourage people to type those responses in, and I'll give you my 4 thoughts, Kathleen. What comes to mind for me is the fact that we have a lot of ideals in our culture. You know, it's not right to litter. We should sort our garbage properly. But we also have a lot of actions that don't show respect to our environment. How often do we see people that throw a cigarette butt on the ground, or, you know, they don't properly rinse their plastics or even bother sorting their plastics separately? Some places let you throw everything in one bag. I think we have a lot of same ideas, but I do think that for me, as a member of North American culture, I think that we're lacking. I think we're lacking in some respect. We have the right ideas, but I don't think we're quite up to par on our actions. And for me, that insight comes a lot from this lesson. You know, when I think about how my actions respect the world or how my actions respect other people, I start recognizing that maybe there's room for improvement.
Creating these lessons definitely made me more mindful, because obviously we'd like to think we're respectful people, but we're still human beings, and at the end of the day, we don't always realize that sometimes certain things or actions that we do might be disrespectful. So this made me more aware and more mindful of others around me and my actions and the things I say or the things I do. Nicole here completely agrees with you, Corey. And Jared shares that he has to say that Indigenous people respect their elders greater than our culture. And I think I'd like to agree with that. Not for everybody, but I'd say unfortunately that's true. Tina says, say hi to people when they walk by.
I noticed there was, there's a lot of agreements that, you know, there's, you know, a lack of respect with the actions we're taking, right? And maybe we need to be brushing up on that. And I think Jared's right, what you just mentioned about the fact that some aspects of our culture does not show the same reverence, the same respect, the same admiration of those older generations. A lot of great thoughts from everybody.
Tina says she won't even kill the rats in the yard because they are here for a reason.
Well, you know what? My mom is right up there with you. When she had a mouse in the house not long ago, she was insistent that we needed to get humane traps because we had to take care of poor little mouse. Not the awful rat in the house, but poor little mouse. So I think that kind of respect towards the world and one another is what we need to see a little bit more of, not necessarily in our ideas and in our beliefs, but in our actions.
This is just a little poster I found on certain ways that we could honor and respect the Indigenous peoples. And one of the ways is to learn about Indigenous history. And with all the access we have to internet today and Google, it's fairly easy to do. So technically we don't got no excuse. We could support Indigenous businesses in our community and surrounding areas. Listen to Indigenous knowledge keepers, for example, elders. And like Corey's mentioned, we've had the luck in our class to have some elders come and talk about their culture. Reading the 10 Guiding Principles of Reconciliation from the TRC. We just had Reconciliation Day here in Canada, so that's another way to be mindful. Just learn how to acknowledge the territory where you live. And by that means respecting nature, respecting everything around you, respecting other people. Explore Indigenous art, music, and culture. For example, I grew up in Montreal, and downtown Montreal, there was a lot of Indigenous art and little boutiques I'd like to go in and sometimes buy a little item here and there. I'm not sure if anyone knows about any Indigenous art or music around like New Brunswick or Fredericton or Moncton or Nova Scotia area, but I know in Montreal there was quite a big culture, and it was I was always drawn to it for some reason.
I think this highlights the fact that there's a lot of different ways for us to kind of grow and improve how we respect one another. So with that in mind, Kathleen, if you don't mind, I'll put the photo right in our group chat. If we were doing this in person, Kathleen had designed a little activity that we could do together right now, where we would be passing out a hard copy of the handout I just put there. You'll see as I bring it up here on the screen share that it's a nice little image of flowers, and it's asking us, how does respect grow? And I think today's conversation has been very enlightening to us that respect is not just a natural thing that happens automatically. Respect takes active thought, it takes active practice, and a big part of respect is action. We also kind of figured out that there's a lot of areas that we feel we have good values or beliefs when it comes to respect, but maybe we need to take more action to show that to others, to give to others, to have that positive impact on others. And specifically relating to reconciliation, that maybe there are some specific areas that we could work on respect towards Indigenous and First Nations people, like we just saw on Kathleen's slide. So with that in mind, I want to invite everybody to kind of do your own version of this activity. You don't need a fancy piece of paper so that you can draw and write in each flower. You can make just a chart on a piece of paper. I've been taking notes throughout the whole session because I'm still learning new things every week in this. So, I mean, what I've done here is I just started making little bullet lists for myself. When Kathleen and I did a run through of this, I had a nice little chart and I started writing down a couple of bullet lists on, what I could do. And then on the other side of my T-chart, I have what that's relating to. So, I mean, it's not perfectly organized, but it's a great place for me to start. A brainstorm of, how I want to be more respectful and what actions I could take. It's going to help me grow that skill, improve that skill. I see Jessica Melvin just put in a comment there if you would like to highlight that, Kathleen, while everybody's jotting down some respect ideas. How are we going to grow our respect?
That's actually, Jessica actually has a great idea. She mentions that you could attend a powwow to observe for the exploring the art and music and such, which is an excellent idea. And as I've learned throughout this module, powwows are actually open to the public. Everyone's welcome to watch them, which is quite neat. So if anyone wants to share ways that they could grow respect, you're more than welcome. Since we're a smaller group today, you're more than welcome to use your team's hands or throw your ideas in the chat.
I think exploring those cultural things are huge. Just, while we're waiting for replies from others, I'll just fill the silence by saying that there's probably more in your backyard than you know. Because if you don't know to go looking for it, you might not even see it. But walking away today, there are powwows, there are celebrations, there are potlatches, there are all sorts of cultural and community opportunities that you just have to look for, and you can dive right in. There's a hand up there for you, Kathleen. Tina's got her hand up.
Yeah, you may unmute yourself
Okay.
and share.
With me, I show respect by both my friends. My best friends are both Indigenous, so I do a lot of things with them. If they want to go into the woods and just explore, I'm there with them and learning from what they're teaching me. So
I love that.
they have a lot of old-fashioned, well, not old-fashioned, just old school stuff. Like I went to visit a friend yesterday, and down there they use bear fat with mint leaves and I think it's aloe vera, all mixed together for pain medication and helping with arthritis and stuff. So she gave me some of that because she knows I have issues with my hands. So,
Oh, wow.
and they're creating this down there. It's a great big fat, like a great big batch of bear fat that they render down and add these other ingredients in, and they use it as a natural medicine.
Wow. And you know, I think that also speaks to how much we ourselves can benefit from showing respect. When you give them your time, your active listening, you know, that agreement that, yeah, I will go out and do those things that you are interested in. I will learn from you. I will hear from you. When we show that respect to others, you know, how did that come back to you as respect back towards you, you know, with that offering of something that might help you with the difficulty you're having with your hands, some natural homeopathic medicine that they've made in their culture. I think that's beautiful. And again, it shows that cyclical relationship between respect, right? We've got to give it so that we can receive it. Thank you for sharing that. There's a couple comments coming in there too, Kathleen, if you want to tackle those. I know that you've got a thought of your own, and then there's also one from Jessica and Amanda there too.
I thought I saw like just certain ways like to help to grow respect is to treat everyone equally and to follow the rules. If everyone follows the rules, then there's just going to be some mutual respect. Jessica mentioned that her uncle is Indigenous and he uses bear grease on his hair when he does a hair mask.
That's a fun little sidebar. Fun little sidebar. But you know, showing respect and how to, you know, translating that into how to grow that skill. You know, some people might gawk a little bit at the idea, you're putting what in your hair? Bear grease? I think showing respect is really managing that reaction. Even though it may be strange for our culture and not what we see every day, does not mean that there's not value in it, that there's not something to learn from that, right? I think that's a part of respect too. You know, there's some very creative and ingenious ideas out there. So, what have we got here, Kathleen?
We have self-awareness. So when we are self-aware and know what we want, it's easier for us to give respect to ourselves and others while receiving respect in return. So self-awareness is when we investigate our own thoughts, feelings, and actions. We can recognize how other people see us. When we're self-aware, we notice our strengths and challenges, because we're going to have both because we're humans. We can achieve self-awareness by identifying our emotions, looking at our biases, and having healthy boundaries. All these things, technically, you're just being very mindful of the good things, the bad things of yourself. And when you're self-aware, more often you'll be more respectful. And then when you're more respectful, other people will also respect you in return.
You know, the CYCs, the child and youth care students in the room, will probably relate to this statement pretty well. We often go around with blinders on, don't we? We just see things in our own culture as being the norm, and we don't see everything out there on the periphery, and we've got to open up our minds. And a big part of that is being aware of ourselves, our actions, the way we carry ourselves. What are our values? What are our beliefs? A lot of times we go through automatic processes. When you sing happy birthday to somebody, do you think of every word and every note and where you're taking each breath? Or do you think it's time to start singing and you just start singing? The words almost come out naturally. Our brain takes a lot of shortcuts. And I think self-awareness is a key to a lot of our problems. And one of the biggest problems that we've been talking about today is the need to increase our respectful actions. So being more aware of ourselves will help us be more aware of how we are giving respect, or maybe how we're not giving respect to others, so that we can improve that skill.
And some ways that you could create self-awareness or be more self-aware is by practicing mindfulness. There's even apps you could download on your phone today that helps you practice mindfulness, and also to be mindful of your emotions. We all have emotions that vary. You could be happy, you could be angry. As long as you could identify your emotion and just be mindful of it, then you can embrace it better instead of acting out. And we're all humans, so we'll all have biases. It's important to look at our own biases. That's being self-aware. When we look into our own self and what our biases are, and we take time to understand them, that's creating self-awareness right there. And also having healthy boundaries. Boundaries are really important. Being self-aware of what makes us comfortable is respecting ourselves. And when we respect ourselves, we'll respect other people in return.
I think we have to start with respecting ourselves, because if we can't respect ourselves, then we're not really going to put ourselves at our best and be able to respect one another. Same kind of concept that we talked about before with love. We need to be able to show love to ourselves and care for ourselves before we can love someone else and care for someone else. So I think that being respectful towards ourselves is a good start. So when you're increasing that self-awareness and you notice things that you like about yourself, give yourself that mental praise. Build yourself up. When you notice things you're not so proud about, show yourself respect and be constructive in the way you think about that and in the way that you work on that. You are not your problems. You have an interaction with your challenges instead.
I had a little question, but I believe we might have answered that question while talking. If believe that self-awareness creates respect. I definitely believe that self-awareness creates respect. You're more than welcome to share your own ideas if you have different ideas or think of something else, or you're more than welcome to mention a way that you practice self-awareness. An example, I try to be self-aware of my emotions, to be able to regulate them so they don't impact other people, so I don't become disrespectful of others because of my own emotions.
That's a great one.
And you're trying to read the chat.
Oh, there's a message for you.
Thank you, that's sweet. Corey says, I try to be self-aware by asking why when I feel something, which is an excellent point.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a really big one. So I personally find that when we don't understand something, we can take things more personally. But when we understand something, we're less likely to personalize it. So when I feel something, I don't want to identify just what I'm feeling and who made me feel that way. I want to know why, because it helps me understand it, and then I can act more respectfully towards them, towards myself. Mm-hmm. Now, while you're typing some thoughts in there, if anybody has anything else they want to share before we wrap up our session for the day, we do have a little bit of homework for you. You're like, nobody's had their homework, but it's fun homework. So this is a little activity, and it's reflective of the buffalo. Let's remember that the buffalo is the one who taught us this entire idea of respect, giving entirely of ourselves to others, and having that ability to receive that back from someone else. And so again, the buffalo shows respect to the Indigenous people by providing food, shelter, tools. And so we are going to learn a little bit about respect and self-awareness together by doing a little bit of an activity. And I'm going to encourage you to do this, maybe even with a group. If you have a partner or a couple of kids at home that you could do this with as a little fun activity between now and when we come back after the holidays, it could be a really fun thing. What we want you to do is build a teepee. That was a big part of what those pieces of the buffalo went to, the hides and the bones and different parts of it. It allowed them to build their homes and put food inside of them for nourishment. So the buffalo provided them with all sorts of ways to live. So let's take a little time to make a little teepee. Let's see what that could look like. I want to encourage you, though, to take this time to be reflective. Take this time. If you're doing it with someone else, talk to them. Listen to them. Think about how you're showing them respect. If you want to ask them to do something in that teepee building, how are you asking them? Is it in a respectful and kind way? When they have something to share, maybe a different idea of how to build that teepee, where you should be putting your popsicle sticks or your pencils or whatever it is you're using for your structure, how do you listen to their ideas? Do you meet them with judgment? Or do you accept those ideas? It doesn't matter what your teepee looks like. It can look like anything. It can be as tall as you want, as big as you want. You could make it out of multicolored pipe cleaners and bright colored construction paper and put little pom-poms all over it. That would be lovely. You can also just make it out of a scrap piece of paper and some pens and pencils from around your desk. Much like the buffalo, you don't need to go out and get extra materials. You can use the materials you have at home. It doesn't need to be anything fancy. But take a little bit of time. Make something. Spend some time with someone while you do. And think about, how are you showing respect to them while you're working together, while you're talking, while you're building.
On the plus side, it's actually a really great activity to do with kids.
And I have a feeling we might have a number of parents in the group who might actually have some extra time with kids over the next couple of weeks, knowing that we're going into that holiday break.
And if anyone does create Teepee, you're more than welcome to share it. Take a picture and share it in the chat for next week. We'd love to see. I actually created one. I wish I would have taken a picture while I was in class with Corey. Oh goodness, she might have it.
Oh yeah.
I'm not artistic.
You shouldn't have dared me. So Kathleen mentioned that, she made a teepee and she's not telling you any fibs. She sure did. And right here, I have it to show you as an example. Kathleen took the time to make this adorable little paper teepee. Let me see, spotlight for everyone. There we go. And so here we go. It's this really sweet thing. She has a couple of popsicle sticks on the inside to keep it out in a little shape, and you can see it sticking up at the top. And she also put a number of symbols around it. She's got the feather on the front of the teepee. She has a little door that she cut out going in. She put the turtle on there. She also put the bear claw, again, reflecting on some of the lessons we've been learning, right? The fact that the turtle carries wisdom from the beginning of creation. The fact that the eagle feather is a gift representing love. These are things that we have learned and things that we know about. So she put a little bit of mindfulness into her creation. And she even added that bit of respect towards the Indigenous culture by making sure that some of those pieces were incorporated. It wasn't just glitter and this, that, and the other and whatever she felt like putting on there. She put things on that teepee that she felt showed respect and she felt showed what this culture and what this idea is all about. And I think, maybe I'm wrong, Kathleen, but I think that was part of the respect angle when you might have chose this. I know you were being very mindful of what to put on your example. So.
I just used whatever was in the classroom, so.
That's right. She's like, do you have anything? And I was like, well, paper, I've got some popsicle sticks, some markers, and again, we don't need to buy extra fancy things. We can use what we have and show respect in that way too. So that's our fun little homework assignment. Your other little thing is just to have a good holiday. So we know that this is our last meeting before the Christmas holidays start. And I just want to wish everybody all the best for their holiday. Whether you're celebrating Christmas or whether you are celebrating a different holiday from another culture, I think the upcoming break is something that we can all look forward to. A little chance to kick back and a little chance to unwind and appreciate some of those values that are near and dear to all of us, our family, our friends, our loved ones, giving to others. A lot of things that we see a number of these holidays have in common. So I just want to wish everybody the happiest of holiday, regardless of what you celebrate. I hope that your break is a wonderful chance just to kick back and relax. And again, we'll see you after the break. So when we come back after the holidays, our very first week of school is beginning on January 3rd. We'll be back here on January 5th at noon to pick up the last few weeks of our lessons. Have a great break, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Happy holidays. Join us once again.
Bye-bye for now.